Hello, welcome back to another TCT Razor 1 video here with Andrew. And I'm going to ask you, what did you do today, Andrew?
I got second place at YCS Sydney 2025. Absolutely surreal. I never thought I'd actually get this far. I felt like I could top, but I wasn't expecting to get like this close to being able to actually win the entire thing. Especially since it's my first YCS, so being able to get second place in my first YCS is absolutely crazy. So yeah, I did it playing Maliss. Sorry for those people who have Maliss, being a little cringe. I guess I was that person playing Shifter and making people actually want to kill themselves. But anyways, I had reasons for it. For a long time, I was actually wanting to play Fiends with Bystials. I tested it for about 3 months, and actually only in the last 2 weeks I switched to Maliss. And the idea was I felt like the mirror, it was a good mirror, but the problem is I felt like I didn't really have an advantage at all. I felt like there was still variance. And I just wanted to play something that didn't have as much variance. I mean, it's kind of weird you say that like Lancia. But the thing is, when you build the deck correctly, Lancia is only bad if you're trying to break a board. But to be fair, that's like playing Ryzeal and getting hit with Droll. So it's actually not too bad. And yeah, so it was just basically building a deck that I felt would... It's weird to say, but like an anti-meta pick. Because I was expecting a lot of Ryzeal, and sure enough, there was a lot of Ryzeal. Most of my matchups were Ryzeal. And just playing a deck that beats it. And, you know, it's also probably the deck I felt the most comfortable into the Maliss mirror, even though I think the Maliss mirror is kind of cringe. But, it's like got some skill expression here and there, but it's, for the most part, you win the die roll, and hopefully you win game one, or you just lose. But yeah, I'll get into this. So, starting off, we played 3 Dormouse. This is of course, the best normal summon in the deck. Pretty standard. You want to play maximum consistency. This card banishing from the deck is really crazy. You can't be ashed. Which is the cool thing about Maliss, is it plays around a lot of the hand traps that people are like familiar with or like play in their decks, like Droll and Ash and stuff like that. Yeah, so 3 Dormouse, very standard. I think it's a really good card. 3 White Rabbits. This is arguably, funnily enough, like the best starter if you have a Bystial in hand, because you get to set like TB11 and then you get to keep playing with your Bystials and go full combo, and you have something that always dodge imp at any time. It's only bad if it's your only normal summon, which unfortunately in the finals it was my only normal summon because my hand was very weak, and I got Ash. Then yeah, but unfortunately, yeah, you know, there's only so much you can do, yeah, it's fine. 2 Chessie. I didn't think I needed a third. I wasn't playing as many Bystials because I was expecting there to be a lot of pure, and finally, pure 1 actually, so my call was correct. I felt like I didn't want to clog up on too many names. This is the type of deck that if you draw one too many names, it can be very awkward, especially because I'm not playing Allure, which I'll get to soon. So I kind of wanted to play as many cards that were like starters and extenders. It's not like Snake Eyes where they're all starters and extenders. The only one you really don't mind is if you see Dormouse plus another, or like Chessie plus another, because like you can like lead with Chessie banish draw 2, or Dormouse can normal summon Chessie and draw 2 and banish. Like that's okay. But you really don't want to like clog up on too many. Otherwise it's not really great. So instead of playing 3 Chessie, I played 3 Underground. This card's a really good extender. It is your worst starter with the Bystials, but it's still a starter, and it's still like it's still a really decent combo. So I kind of wanted to prioritize on that consistency. But also, if you see this with any name, you basically play through every hand trap in the game. So you play for like 2 or 3. It's really, really good. So I wanted to max out on that consistency. It's also why I play Goldsark. I didn't play Terraforming. I didn't want to clog up too much on these, but also like Droll is a card. Not that this deck really loses to Droll, but I don't know. I just didn't have room for it because this is a 41 list, and I really wanted to play a lot more Bystials as extenders as opposed to just like Terraforming, because you also don't want to like open like one of these plus Terraforming as your starter extender, because that feels really bad. I mean, you can technically bait with Ash, but it's not the best thing. I didn't want to be strapped. I tried to pull a super of this, but I'm terrible apparently. But I pulled the collectors of this. Apparently collectors are easier than pull in a bloody super rare, but whatever. It is what it is. This is the only brick. This is the only brick in the actual Maliss deck, because it's the only thing that doesn't do anything. I drew this a lot, and it's actually completely fine. It's really funny the amount of times I got Lanced, and I had no names except for this, and I just set this, and I was able to win on the following turn because you summon a Dormouse, and then on your turn you can use its effect. So yeah, this is the only dead brick. If you like brick on these 2 traps, it's actually really, really good. Really, really good. because you can still get follow-up and disrupt your opponent, because you go channeling 1 MTO7 to add, and then you go channeling 2 TB11. If they have 3 more cards, you can summon, usually I like to summon the Red Ransom because it's the only one that I'm like not always going into necessarily, because with the Bystials, it's like you can technically get around it. And I want to keep Crypta and Whitebinder, because Crypta can shuffle the Red Ransom and Whitebinder can banish it. And also Whitebind is your grind card. So you can like make that, and then you can banish a card your opponent controls, and then add your Dormouse, so you have guaranteed follow-up with these 2 cards. So it's disruption and follow-up, even though you technically bricked. So I don't really count these cards as full bricks. They're also the 2 ones that could dodge cards like Imperm, especially TB11. TB11 is really good if you compare it with like a normal summon, whereas MTPO7 is really good if you pair it with like Gold Sark and Underground, because you get a normal summon and you dodge Imperm, which is like really, really good. Yeah, so you play one of these, they're only kind of your bricks, but it's like fine. You have to play them. The only thing that kind of sucks is like having to keep them post side. I never really sided any of these out. Maybe it's incorrect to like, maybe you're like supposed to side one of these out. I just felt like they all came up going like seconds, so I didn't want to side them. And then like, because this is the only real brick, it's kind of like whatever, you're fine with it. And because I play 24 non-engine, as you'll see, it doesn't really matter. Never felt terrible. But yeah, that's the main engine. I think this is relatively standard. I think some people play terraforming, which I don't think the necessary thing is that bad. Like you can play terraforming, but yeah, I think this worked really well, and I wouldn't change these ratios at all moving forward either. So for the secondary engine, I played Maliss Bystial, of course. The Bystial cards are just too broken in this format. It's part of the reason why I played this deck. So I played 1 Magnema, 3 Jerusalem as an outer detonator, and 2 Balldrake. I didn't want to play too many of these because I was expecting a lot of Pure Ryziel, and these cards are not insane into Pure Ryziel. They're not terrible, but like you're still kind of letting the Ryziel stuff resolve a lot of the time. So it's a little bit, it's not as good. And they can play around like Jerusalem Balldrake. They're never letting you get to the Balldrake banish send. It's like never happening. So I didn't want to clog up on too many. I found myself opening them enough. I didn't really want to see, like 2 is good, but because you draw a lot in the combo, you usually can draw into another Bystial anyways. And if you set your combos up correctly, you don't even always need a Bystial fully, so it's like fine. But like they're of course insane, especially into like the Ryziel Fiends with decks. So I was happy with this ratio. The only thing I might consider is playing like one Serenade, because Serenade, there's a cool combo with Firewall where you can like Serenade dump Magnum and then add it back to hand. That's cool, like maybe a potential 3rd Balldrake. It kind of depends on how the format progresses, but I'm kind of fine with this ratio. I felt like it performed very well, and I don't feel like I would, I definitely would have not changed it for at this specific event. Maybe different for another, like a different event in the future. It depends on what I'm expecting in the format. So that's 6 of the non-engine plus extenders. This is all hand traps and breakers. So we got a lot of them. So starting with 3 Furious. Some people cut this in Malice. I think you kind of just have to play it still. You really don't want your opponent to be able to commit that much. And getting extra draws is kind of nice, especially when you play cards in Metal Chronus and Imperm. Just being able to draw into an outfit detonator, because of course this deck does struggle in a detonator. So you want to kind of be able to draw into those cards. Yes, it can get ashed, but I feel like it's actually kind of fine if it gets ashed, because it means your Metal Chronus is kind of checked. And usually you're opening like 3 to 4 hand traps in this deck, plus 1 name. That's like your optimal thing. It's like 1 Bystial and a name, where your Bystial's a hand trap or an extender, plus 3 other hand traps is usually what you want. I saw that like sometimes. I didn't have it all the time, but it's like fine. So you don't actually mind if it's gashed. It's just really, really strong card. It's like maxi if it resolves. So I would definitely keep playing that. I wouldn't cut it. 3 Ash, just the counter to Furious. It's also really good into mirrors, especially on the shifter. It's good into every deck. It's just Ash. It's generically good. It's not really anything I need to say about that. I play 3 shifter in the main. I think this card's ridiculously broken. I don't know, like, no surprise, right? I just think, like, if you're playing Malice and you're not playing this in the main, I feel like it's just wrong. With the amount of, like, Ryziel decks and even, like, Mitsurugi and stuff like that, you really just want shifter. And even into Blue Eyes, this card's decent. It's just one of those turn skip cards. It actually makes your deck a little better into breaking into boards, funnily enough, because you're not, like, forced to have a Bystial. So if you open a Bystials and you have this, it's actually fine. But also, like, there are combos where if you open this plus a Bystial and a name, you can end on, like, the full, like, Crypto Firewall stuff, and then also Firewall adds you back Shifter, and then under Shifter, and you have nothing in your grave, so you get 2 Shifters, which is, like, good luck breaking that board. You're cooked. So I just think this card's really, really strong. It's just free wins, right? And I played Fire King in round, in my ninth round, and I saw Shifter 2 games, and that was all she wrote. So I think maining is great. I do understand the idea of like, oh, you don't really want to see it in the Maliss mirror. I wasn't expecting too many Maliss mirrors, but also funnily enough, this card isn't completely dead in the Maliss mirror. I think it's a little bit deceptive. If it's your only card, well, yeah, not going to do anything. But if you pair this with cards like Impulse or you pair it like Ash, it's actually not completely terrible. Like it does make the board a lot weaker, and sometimes they actually just pass with like nothing. So it's not a completely terrible card into it. And there are certain hands where it's like really awkward. For example, if they start with White Rabbit as well, it makes awkward situations. So I think it's not a completely dead card. I did see it once in the Maliss mirror, going second, and I did lose, but that's because their hand was also really strong. And I will say, if I didn't have Shifter, I wasn't winning anyways. So, and I think also it's good that you invalidate their extenders, because their Bystials are no longer extenders as well. So that's a thing I think some people overthought with Shifter. So I was really happy playing this. The MVP, the true MVP of this is Metaltronus. This card's broken. I think if you're not playing this card in this format, you're behind. It's absolutely insane. It's even better in the Maliss mirror because you get if you pair it with the Bystial, it's actually full combo even if you see no names. Into Ryzeal, it's your outer detonator where they can't respond. It's also one of the very few cards that beats Twins of the Eclipse. So I think you just have to play it. It's good going first, it's good going second. It stops Fiends with cards as well, and you can turn out like a Nightmare Griffin. Yeah, I just think you have to play it. You're just behind if you're not. That's all I'm going to say. I played one Called By, and then one Talents as well to round out the spells for these. These five are my like only breaker only cards, because I also play Imperm, as you'll see, which is also a hand trap. I felt like Talents and Called By were very strong in the main. People knowing that you're playing Talents in the main immediately means they have to respect it, which means that sometimes their lines are a little bit more awkward. Whereas if they know that you're not playing Talents, they can be a lot more greedy, especially in how they interact with you. So I think playing this in the main was really good. And then the Call By is also just really good. Being able to stop certain hand traps if your hand's very weak is really nice as well. Not that anyone's going to main lane to you though, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I just felt like it was good. This card came up a lot, won me a lot of matches, especially because I played Thrust for it. So I think this was really good. I only played one Talents in my entire list though. I don't think anyone played too many of these. Because going second, it is a little awkward. It's not like completely crazy, but I think it was good enough still to play. Just as a one-off Thrust target at best. And then I played 3 Imperm. This is a card a lot of Maliss lists are not playing. I think this card's ridiculously good in this deck. Yes, I know it conflicts with the Bystials, but the reality is that if you sequence your things correctly, it shouldn't matter. Like if you're playing against a Ryzeal Fiendsmith list, like depending on how they sequence it, usually you don't really care. You're able to like still do fine. And also like the pairing, this is even better when you go first as well and you get to set it. It also works really well with the next card as well, which is Dominus Impulse. This card's ridiculously good. So the reason I chose Maliss overall was actually because I got to play Shifter and Impulse. These two cards are really, really good this format into every single deck, but it's the Mirrors, Ryzeal, Fiendsmith. This card's actually deceptively good into Ryzeal, Fiendsmith if you know the choke points, like how to interact with them. Like being able to go like Impulse on Ice, for example, and then Bystial, like a Lurray is crazy, or impulsing the Fiendsmith stuff like on your turn or even their turn. It's like, it's pretty game winning. Which I will quickly say, Call By, one of the good things in Call By in the main is you're able to like Call By things like Desiree and stuff. I actually won my top 32 match because, was it top 32? Yeah, I think it was top 32 match because of Call By and their Desiree. So this card comes up a lot. Yeah. But yeah, so Dominus Impulse is crazy, and being able to have the Dominus Impulse and Imperm synergy is really nice, especially going second as well. Being able to like go Imperm and then Dominus Impulse on certain things. Like in Ryzeal, you can like Imperm and like Impulse a node, for example, if you wanted to. So it's like really nice. I felt like the combo thing is nice. I wouldn't have changed any of these hand traps. I think these performed exactly to the way I wanted them to perform. I think the main deck itself performed exactly what I wanted to, so I wouldn't change anything at all. I mean, like, of course, format every event is different. And like if I'm expecting one thing, like for example, if I'm expecting like a lot of Maliss plays, then I would probably not main this. But I knew what I was going into with this format based on a lot of OTS results, which we had the previous week, which was really helpful. And so I felt like this was good. And being able to like name these cards to respect the mirror, like all of these for the mirror, I think was really important. Because that's the thing, right? This list is built to absolutely cook the Ryzeal Fiendsmith mirror. I don't lose a single, the Ryzeal Fiendsmith matchup, I don't lose a single game against that deck. And really just in Ryzeal in general, this deck is built to beat that. But it's also built to beat the mirror as well, with these cards as well. So yeah, I know a lot of people playing this, but this was a surprise thing I think a lot of people weren't expecting. So yeah, and I think when people knew you play Maliss, I think sometimes they actually don't even respect Imperm, and that can get you a lot of wins as well. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the main deck, 41 cards. It's like relatively standard to a degree, but like not fully standard. I'll also say, oh yeah, I'll get to shout outs at the end. So for the extra deck, this one's a lot more standard. One white binder, it's your grind card. Red ransom. You actually don't go into this all the time. I mean, you're doing like your Bystial combos tough, but it depends. Like when you're getting hand trapped, it's kind of tricky to get into that. But it's fine. Like this card's really good. Being able to search underground, and a lot of times when you just hard open underground. Actually, I think it was against Micah. Shout out to Micah. I think it was against him where I made this and then it got Ash, but I had underground anyways. So it's actually a good card to bait stuff as well. So yeah. Yeah, it was against Micah because he fog bladed this. Actually, it wasn't Ash. He fog bladed this and I had underground anyways. It didn't matter. One of the Crypta. This card I made a lot more than any of the other, like more than Ransom a lot of the time, and a lot more than, it was one of my main inboard pieces. I just think this card's really broken, being able to recycle your resources, and also being able to then non-target banish, including itself. Like, this card, nice. This card lets you OTK under Nib really easily. When I played against Fire King and I had Shifter, lol, I was able to OTK in 4 summons with this card. So yeah, it's your honestly your best OTK. I usually go to OTK with this more than I do Access Code a lot of the time because I feel like Access Code's a lot more fragile. I played IP. This was one of the more last minute editions and it came up a lot. This is your win con against basically all the Mole Chummies. Furilos and Meows are deceptively not as crazy as people think they're into this deck. Like I never got hit with Meows because the one player who saw Meows ended up opening 3 of them, but I bricked. So lol. So they had to commit and all the 3 Meows were dead. Which is part of the reason why I feel like Meows is like not crazy because it like really depends on their hands. But like this deck can just play through it a lot. Like yeah, you get like guaranteed draws like 1, maybe 2, but if you're getting like 1 or 2 draws and you have to deal with the full god board, like well I mean not the god board, but the full board, like a lot of those times those cards just aren't enough when they also have hand traps that back it up. Like there's only so much you can do to break a Maliss board. So I felt like yeah, IP was great. And the half board with IP and Furilos gives your opponent 1 draw and you get like the same as you would normally. It still gets you the banish of White Binder plus the MTO7 plus 4 cards in hand, and you get 1 draw. Nice. 1 Link Dakota. I didn't play Lingaribo. I don't think it's needed. Like yeah, it's kind of nice there, but there was never really a time I ever needed it in the entire event. I think you just like if you play well enough, it never comes up. So yeah, but Link Dakota of course like is mandatory. That card's ridiculously broken this deck. Splash Mage. Splash Mage is yeah, it's just a way to play through Nibiru.
Good card.
It's like it's fine. Yeah, it's okay. Like it's a little like weird into Bystials, but it's okay. Yeah, it's like fine. Not much to say. Lizardos is of course a lot better. This 1 SB, shiny. I got that after the event. Wish I had it for the event, but it's fine. SB is another card that I almost debate playing 2 of because this card is both a disruption, but it's also a combo piece. And I think it's really cool how this deck is able to play with this card as a combo piece. I just think that's like amazing. But yeah, SBs are a great card. It's so versatile in this deck, and I really like that effect card. 1 Access Code. This is one of your win cons in attacking. It's also kind of funny that when it gets negated, because it banishes for cost, you're able to like keep banishing your darks because it like doesn't lock you into the restrictions because its effects are negated. So that's kind of cool. It's like yeah, it's one of your ways of being able to OTK while still getting follow up as well. 1 Firewall. This is the only card that really majorly conflicts with Impulse, but usually it's like fine. You can just get to Crypto instead. This being able to add hand traps though is kind of bonkers, so that's kind of nice. 1 Dark. This card never came up. I still think it's really good to play though. I just never came up for me because I usually in a good position anyways. But I know it was still a good card, and I feel like there were times where I was debating about it. It's just my hands were fine to play through. But I think it's still a card you really want to play. 1 Cerberus. I wanted to respect Chaos Hunter. No one ended up having the card, but I still think this is actually really good if you're playing under Shifter going first. You can make this instead of going into like any of your other cards, so you're not forced to use it. But also even just going into boards, right? It's not that bad to be able to use it to destroy a special summon monster. Like it does come up a little bit. I think I might have summoned it once in the event. I can't remember when. Like too many rounds to remember, but I do know I summoned it I think once. But yeah, I think it's actually a good card. 1 Nightmare Griffin. This card came up a lot. Not so much for the Floodgate effect, and more so for the fact that it gets to reset cards. I got to reset V-Barrier against Pure Lysial, and lol, that's basically it. So I feel like that's actually kind of the best part of that card. 1 About. I summoned this card a total of 0 times, not a single time. This is the one card that I'm probably going to debate about cutting. It literally just didn't do anything. I never summoned it once. I never felt like I even needed to summon it because I think the Abao Nightmare Griffin line is so fragile. Like if it sticks well, but I think it's just too fragile. I'd rather just go for Crypto Control, which is something that Jeff Jones actually mentioned in his deck profile as well. And I felt like that was really good. And so shout out to him for that theory, because his entire theory for the list is actually something that I took to heart with this deck as well, about winning game 1 and then going for game 3. And so this kind of reflects it. Our last card is Detonator for Metal Tronus, so it's like, nothing to say. I will say the other thing about Nightmare Cerberus, which is kind of funny, is it's a Fiend Earth, so it's a Metal Tronus target for Baguska, which never came up, but it's kind of nice to actually have that as an option. So I'm like, yeah, it was good. I think this was a good list. The only change I think about is potentially cutting a Bell. That was the only card that I felt was completely terrible. Where's my side? Here it is. Yeah. All right. And for my side, I was really happy with my side deck, I will say. I was happy with the entire list, but especially my side deck. So the side deck is 3 Lancia, Mirror Match, that's all I'm going to say. 3 Droll. Droll is, in my opinion, one of the better hand traps, and you could argue this card conflicts. It does conflict with Impulse, but it's okay. It's worth it still. You could argue this conflicts with Shifter, but your argument is just wrong. The reality is if Shifter resolves, you're just winning anyways. And if you haven't won yet under Shifter, Droll just makes it worse for your opponent. So a lot of the time, there is literally zero confliction with this card at all. Also, what's really good about playing Droll is that you can play it going first to Droll yourself when you get hit with like a Furulous or something. So you get to play under Droll, they get 0 Drolls, and your deck doesn't care about Droll at all. So you just play under this like it's nothing. So this card's really good. Really, really strong. I probably needed to work a little bit more on my siding patterns because I wasn't able to fit Droll a lot of the time going first. But it didn't really matter. I didn't feel like I needed it too badly. And the deck does naturally play under the Chummy as well. But yeah, this card is also just respect for Mitsu. I only played 1 Mitsu, which was very fortunate. And I completely destroyed them. I just got lucky, I guess. I should do Shifter and double Furless game 2 after bricking. But it's like, it happens like that. There's variance in the game. Kind of have to take it as it is. So I did play this as my respect for Mitsu. Yeah, I didn't see it that often, but I think it was still correct to play. I chose not to play Crossout. I think Crossout's really bad in Malice, funnily enough. I think it's really not good having to always have like the Crossout targets, and you would rather just like play cards that are proactive on your opponent's turn as well. So I played the Thrust package. This card was really, really good. Every time I saw this card, I was winning. It was so strong, being able to search talents. There was actually a time I hard searched TB11 so I could set it and use it on the turn to play around like Imperm and stuff like that, which instantly won me the match. So yeah, this card's just so versatile, and I like that for this deck, and I think this deck just plays better with it. And so for that, you play the Thrust targets. These are the 3 best Thrust targets in my opinion. I know some people play Mischief and Gnomes. It's something Gnomes, I can't remember. It's the one that reduces all the levels by in your hand. I don't really think that card's that great. I didn't really want to play. I don't even own it, but I don't think it's that amazing. I just felt these were better. Goodness me, my OCD. I just felt like these were better. D-Barrier, of course, needs no explanation. DDG is just an extra copy of Shifter. And then this is for the mirror. And I don't think I used DDG at all because I ended up not like playing matchups where I searched this. I think I went for talent a little bit more than this, but this was still a good card, and I probably wouldn't have cut it for anything else. I never saw this, and I saw this once. I actually hard opened it, and it was against Pure Rise. I hard opened this with 2 strike, and they went Harpy's Feather Dust. They went Harpy's Feather Dust, and I was like, yeah, that's a card. But it's also the card I got to reset with Griffin, so that was funny. And then for the final 3, I played Strike. I think Strike is just mandatory in the Malice specifically. Like, I like Judgment in Ryziel Fiendsmith and Ryziel, but I think you play this in Malice. For the main reason for playing Strike, it's not so much just the fact that it like stops summons and things like that. It's the fact that it stops monster effects. And a lot of the time, if you're not forced to use this during your opponent's turn, you can use it on your turn to stop like potential like second Lanciers or Chummies if they have any. So I think that the versatility for that, and we'll just pretend this is a QCR. I think the versatility for that kind of card is what makes it so strong in this specific version. There's also, of course, the fact that it doesn't pay like half your life points, which is really nice. But I think the main one is just the fact that you're able to use it on hand traps if you're not forced to use it. So yeah, that's the list. I feel really happy. Of course, we're gonna celebrate. you know, it would have been great to win, but you know, you win some, you lose some. You got to take it as it is. And for my first YCS doing this well, I can't really complain. You know, sorry, I guess to everyone who hates Maliss. I understand it's not the most fun matchup to play against. It's a little cringe, but I will say it is really fun to play. And so that's really good. Shout outs, of course, to the best team you'll ever get, Team Car Titans. We had not just myself, but also my mate Ben, who got top 32. So watch out for that deck profile as well. He played Rise with Finsmith. We did a lot of testing together, so shout out for that as well. Shout out to Indy as well. We did a lot of testing as well. I'm saying that a lot. Yeah, we did a lot of testing for months on end. It's funny because he played Pure Rising as well, and I was ready for that matchup. It was just a bit unfortunate that I wasn't able to get the win over it in the finals. Everything was going for it, but it's okay. It happens like that sometimes. So yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to Wyndham for letting me borrow the link decoder and firewall, especially the QCR firewall. Looks really nice. I didn't have any of them, and I was desperately scrambling for them for an OTS event, and then of course the YCS. Shout out to Hugh for letting me borrow the impulses, because $300 for the impulse is like, you know, I can go for it, but I wasn't fully set on whether I was going to play this, and it was easier to just borrow them. I might have to get a playset now though. I guess the deck likes me. So yeah, shout out to him. And shout out to everyone else from Team Card Titans as well for helping me with testing, theorying, and also just for a great time for the weekend as well. It's definitely better going with friends, and I think that's the biggest takeaway for the YCS is being able to have fun with friends in the end. And you know, doing well with the event is just a bonus. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.